What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Friday. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 199 of the Throwdown, where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a British Columbia-based wrestler and actor, definitely a fast-rising name on the indie scene. My friends, I give you, always ready, Leon Lokombo.
Hello, how's
How
it
you
going?
doing?
I'm doing
Man,
well, man. Thanks for having me.
absolutely. Like I said before we went on the air, I've definitely been looking forward to this one. And for those of you watching live, let me direct your attention to the ticker that's running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all of Leon's social media accounts along with mine. So do us a favor, if you aren't a follower or subscriber, please take the time and go to each of the platforms and do so. It definitely will help both of us. And any questions or comments you guys have, just throw them in the chat and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and really the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
It's actually 4 years this month since I've started my wrestling journey.
Nice. So who actually trained you?
So originally, I actually started training back in 2017.
Okay.
At the time, I was training at the Lionsgate Dojo, and the original trainer at the time was the great. He's a local veteran. He goes by the Great Kasaki.
Okay.
He trained me for the first 2 years of my training journey. And what happened after that is because of COVID, I had to take another 2 years off of wrestling. Came back in early 2022, and that's when I was under new trainees or people that were training me. It was Scotty Mack and Vance Nevada.
Okay.
They trained me for a few months, and then after that, I decided to go back to the Lionsgate Dojo. And that's when I was trained under Nicole Matthews, Artemis Spencer, Tony Baroni, and Bailey Swade. Those are multiple trainers. Yeah.
Nice. You know, the advantage of that type of I guess a training experience is you're getting the perspectives of so many different people that, you know, it can really end up making you very well-rounded.
Oh, yeah.
And it definitely sounds like it did. So in the early stages of your training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to kind of wrap your mind and body around?
So you hear a lot of people say it's like one of the first things I hear most people say is it's usually like the pain aspect of it. So like taking the bumps, you know, running the ropes and everything. Honestly, I took to that very quickly. So it wasn't so much that for me. For me, what was the most challenging was the ring positioning and just kind of knowing where to slam the guy. You know, just kind of like knowing my whereabouts in the ring, basically knowing how to sell or where to sell, all that aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So to some extent, I guess, for lack of a better term, kind of spatial awareness, you know, and just in terms of sort of knowing where you need to be in relation to the other person when.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely that.
So did you come to wrestling with an athletic or other type of martial arts background? Did you play any sports? Did you do any other type of martial arts before professional wrestling?
I did some amateur freestyle wrestling in high school. I did that for about 2 years. I've done, obviously I played football. I did that for a year in high school. Rugby, track and field, just a kind of jack of all trades in that part of it. No like or no like martial arts or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
So, I'm presuming, because this has been the answer that I've gotten from the majority of people on the show, I'm presuming you've been at least a fan of professional wrestling the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
Oh yeah, that's definitely accurate. Yeah.
So what would you say is your earliest wrestling related memory?
Well, I started watching wrestling when I was I was 8 years old when I started watching. So that would have been like in the early 2000s. This would have been like the Ruthless Aggression era with obviously I grew up watching with WWE. What I can recall, my first memory was, I remember it was like a backstage segment. It was John Cena and Eric Bischoff. They were backstage. They were just having a little kind of back and forth, not really conversation. It was most likely like an argument or something. But like, I remember this was like the night after SummerSlam 2005, and I remember immediately seeing that and being hooked immediately, just wanting to watch more of that. And that's as far back as I know, like as far back as I can remember. Basically, yeah, it was that moment.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What was the first live show that you attended as a fan?
It was a house show. WWE came back in 2014. They came to Abbotsford. So yeah, my hometown. It would have been back in 2014. It was a house show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I remember watching. I remember being there live and just being like, just in absolute awe of what I was watching.
No doubt. So, obviously the physical side of this is extremely important. So tell us a bit about your gym routine and, in your mind, what do you believe are the most crucial exercise or group of exercises to keep you in ring shape?
My style of training is more so a lot of like high repetitions, obviously, like high reps, heavy weight for sure. I find that for me it works. Everyone's body's different, right? But for me personally, what works for me is just like kind of like the hypertrophy aspect of training. So you're doing extremely high reps with moderate to heavy weight. And for me personally, I don't necessarily think that helps with like the conditioning part of I guess with like the physicality part of it. So taking bumps and everything, I don't necessarily think that helps with that, but it helps with your presentation, how you look, obviously, right? Just like the bodybuilding aspect of it, I think that's what really it helps with that for sure.
Gotcha.
That's just my style of training, though. Everyone's different, though.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw recently on your social media that you had the opportunity recently to attend a WWE tryout camp of sorts.
Yeah.
How did that opportunity come about, and tell us about the camp experience?
It was definitely quite the experience to start things off for sure. Yeah, so basically I usually keep in touch with one of the scouts for WWE. What I would do is I send my tape and and just kind of like my recent matches and everything, and my look, like how I've kind of changed up my presentation overall. I send my stuff out to the scout every few months or so, and he I guess he liked what he saw, and so I was brought in by WWE for the tryout due to that. And how the tryout went was it was definitely something. It was an amazing experience. It was just amazing. I got there. I'm not gonna lie. There's not a whole lot. Just to kind of play it safe. I'm not sure if there's a whole lot I'm allowed to kind of like.
That's
You
fine.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. Just for because like I'm not sure what I can or can't say, but all I know is the cardio and everything, like the drills they have you do. It's like military style training, so it's pretty like intense to say the least. Yeah, it's very intense.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, for sure.
So I noticed also that you actually had the opportunity to be in an episode of the Vice TV series Dark Side of the Ring,
Mm,
actually portraying a wrestler that I grew up watching as a kid, none other than Tony Atlas.
yeah.
How did that opportunity come about? And tell us a bit about the process of doing the show. How long did it take to shoot the episode? How much research did you do into Tony Atlas
Mhm.
prior to playing him?
Yeah,
Tell us about all of that.
yeah. So this would have been back in, I want to say, yeah, November 2024. I went down to Toronto. That's where they shot the episode that I was on. Um, Basically, how it came about was someone messaged me on Instagram. Just I guess someone in Toronto, based in Toronto. He's one of the guys that brings in like he does scouting for that show, The Dark Side of the Ring.
Hmm.
He reached out to me on Facebook, told me I would be a good fit for the role. And so I took him up on that, and I did my audition. During that whole process, I looked into Tony Atlas, how he talks, um, his overall mannerisms, how he presents himself. I did my best to model myself after him. And so I sent out my tape to the people doing this, the show. They brought me in. They flew me out there in Toronto, and yeah, the whole process. It was. I'm not gonna lie. It was a pretty long process. A lot of waiting around.
Hmm.
Um, that's usually how it is in the industry of like acting and film and TV and all that. Um, but they had me basically sit there, and I was like changing costumes every like 2 seconds to portray like a different scene of Tony Atlas. It's just very exhausting, but it was honestly very fun to kind of like play a different role every like scene and everything. Um, yeah, no, it was definitely it was a great experience, man. It was a really great experience. Nothing like I've done before. Um, and I learned a lot about myself in the process. I learned a lot about Tony Atlas in the process, and just a great overall experience for sure. I never actually got to meet him though. He wasn't there. He was yeah. A lot of people think I met him. I didn't actually get to meet him, but it was still a cool experience nonetheless.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yes.
So, away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Um, I like I like to keep things pretty simple. I don't really. I think my biggest thing, honestly, man, is just like the gym. Obviously, going to the gym. You know what I mean? Just I do a bit of personal training here and there. So that's something I take up that I enjoy doing for sure. And other than that, man, the lifestyle's pretty simple. You know, I just wake up, train, go to work, all this stuff, man. So yeah,
Gotcha.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're mostly a wrestling related show, but we do dabble a little bit into pop culture, and I'm always looking for recommendations. So, by any chance, are you watching or listening to anything cool right now?
Hmm. We're talking like modernized, right? Like just new stuff.
Not necessarily. No, I mean if you're watching something old, that's cool too.
Yeah, I'm actually currently watching a show called I think they actually just put it up on Netflix. It's called ER.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think that came out back in the early 90s. I want to say 94.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've actually just started watching that the other day, and I'm already like on the last episode of the season. And I've
Oh
just been
yeah, it's
yeah,
great show.
yeah.
And there's actually a new series on I believe it's on HBO Max called The Pit. Have you heard
Okay.
about that? Um, well, Noah Wiley, the guy that plays Dr. Carter, the young intern guy on ER,
Yeah.
plays the lead in The Pit, and the Pit is set in an emergency room in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
No way.
and so the Noah Wiley of today basically plays the chief doctor in this emergency room, and it's basically set in we're actually season 2 is actually in they're dropping an episode a week, but
Okay.
each episode is an hour. And it's like set in real time. So the first season basically took you through 15 hours in this emergency room, and it is just crazy.
Wow. I
So
didn't. Wow.
yeah, if you like ER, you'll love The Pit.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm gonna have to check that out.
so
I didn't know that.
yeah. So another kind of outside of wrestling question for you, and that is outside of wrestling, what person inspires you the most and why?
I hmm. I wouldn't say there's a particular individual, like just one person. I would say it's kind of just the people around me as a whole. My family, I would say, is my biggest inspiration, influence, whatever you want to call it. They're the ones that they always continue to push me, and they supported me along my journey, telling me every day that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Um, they're the ones that influence me. I think for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, what would you say is your favorite thing about British Columbia?
Um, about British Columbia, I could only speak on behalf of my hometown, Abbotsford, BC.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. In the area I'm living in, it's close to like everything. Like in the city, everything's
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like walking distance, and it's just very convenient. If I wanted to go to like the Cineplex, the movie theaters or something, I could literally just walk over. And then there's a lot of stores, a lot of places. Just everything's like close. And I just find that to be very, very convenient for me. And it's just overall beautiful, man. The mountains, the views that you see. everyone, and just the people too. Like everyone's just polite and just, very nice overall.
Gotcha. So, they say that the best wrestling persona is usually pretty much yourself turned up to 1,000. So tell us a bit about your in-ring persona and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
Yeah, so I would say everyday me is I'm pretty laid back. Um, I'm a very laid back individual and very observant as well. And I have a little bit of like, well, I wouldn't even say a little bit. I would say I have a lot of competitive. I have a competitive nature uh, within myself, obviously, but I don't. The thing is, I don't show that every day. Um, but that side of myself comes out in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So that those layers, like the competitive aspect of it, the intensity aspect of it, all of that that's not shown on a daily basis is shown in the ring. So kind of like the physical part of myself is I think that's the biggest thing, is like my presence is bigger in the ring. You know what I mean? Like I said, my intensity, my competitive nature, all of that is amplified when I'm in the ring. Whereas, my everyday life, that's not shown all the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts? Tell us about the very first one.
My very first match, it was definitely taken by surprise because it was actually an impromptu match. So it was I was invited to a show. I was at the time I was training. I had some wrestling gear with me, luckily, so I went and I went to the show, and one of the guys that was booked for the show didn't show up, and so the promoter came up to me and asked me, and it was totally up to me too. This was my
Mm-hmm.
He asked me, he was like, "Do you want to wrestle? Do you want to?" One of the guys didn't show up, and I saw it as an opportunity. I was like, I said, "Yeah, screw it, let's do it. I'm gonna get in there and train and wrestle." At that point, I think, about maybe 2 weeks into my training. This would have been after COVID, like back in 2022, for my second return.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was probably 2 weeks in, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I see this as a sign, and so I accepted the offer, and I had my first match. Obviously, you can imagine I was extremely nervous, but I was I was definitely optimistic. I knew I was gonna have a good showing regardless, and that's exactly what happened. I had a good showing, and I did did very well, and forever thankful for that opportunity.
Absolutely. And you having your gear with you, that speaks volumes about your work ethic, and you definitely live up to the moniker of always ready.
Right.
And sort of, also sort of pulling a page out of Matt Cardona's book.
Yeah.
I mean, just, keeping your gear with you and just having the attitude that, hey, if the opportunity comes my way, I'm going to grab it.
Yeah.
Man, that says a ton about you.
Definitely. And can I just tell you something? What's funny about that?
Sure.
About the whole always ready thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know Matt Cardona was using that.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea until after the gear was made, because I had, obviously, people make shirts for me saying always ready. Once all that was out, someone came up to me and told me, "Oh, Matt Cardona uses that moniker, right?" And then immediately I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I had no idea, absolutely no idea. So that took me by surprise, and I was like, "Oh man, now everyone's gonna look at me like I like ripped off Matt Cardona." But yeah, no, it's yeah, it's just funny how that works. But you just got to make it work, right? You just got to make it work.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, and there are definitely worse role models to look at, especially on the indies, than Matt Cardona. I mean, the guy really revolutionized what you could be as an indie wrestler. I mean,
Yeah, oh yeah, big time.
so, you know, we've heard about the first one. Now, if you can narrow it down, tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
Are we talking just like a match 1-on-1, or just in general, like a match that I've been a part of? Or
Just in general. Yeah, your favorite in-ring experience.
I'm gonna be honest. I would say, I did a tour with Canadian Elite Wrestling (CWE). I did like a 16-day tour back in 2024, and they had us. I was booked for an 8-man tag, or I think it was like a 6-man tag, just a multi-man match.
Right.
And Savio Vega was he was the big name that came in for that tour. And I had the luxury of teaming up with him for basically half of that tour. And one of the matches that we did, obviously, after the match, they had us do a thing where we had to dance in front of the fans, because Savio Vega's whole thing was, you know, salsa, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That was so gimmick. Well, not gimmick, but like he you know, he's Puerto Rico, right? Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
so that's what he does. And I don't think he planned that beforehand. We just kind of like did it right on the spot. And I remember doing that. We brought in like all the kids front row. A lot of the fans that were there actually came into the ring, and we all just danced together in salsa. And I remember in that moment I was thinking, man, I really got myself, like, how did this happen? You know, how did I get myself in this predicament, right? It's just crazy how life just throws things at you like that. You know what I mean? And yeah, I remember that moment was there was just something about that moment. It just felt amazing. It was awesome. So I guess it would say like it was more of a post-match, because your question was the question was basically what was my favorite part.
Right. Yeah.
That was my favorite part, was the post-match, just like the dancing aspect of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, like you said, life will take you some cool places if you let it. You know, if you're open to whatever and embrace things as they come along. You know, life can really take you down some cool paths.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, you know, having done this for 5 years now, I'm sure you've probably had the opportunity to kind of work both sides of the aisle. But do you have a preference yourself between working heel or babyface?
I've only ever worked babyface my entire run.
Really, you've never been a heel?
I've never been a heel, but that is definitely on my bucket list. I would love to be a heel at some point. Yeah, it's definitely something that I definitely want to explore. That aspect of wrestling, just, you know, being the bad guy.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. So, you know, I know that there are really 2.5 ways of preparing for a match. You can either work it out with your opponent in the back, call it in the ring, or kind of do a hybrid of both. Do you have a preference as to how you prepare for a match?
I was always brought up with the method of planning like beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
for every match that I'm in. That was always my way of, I guess, having a match. A lot of guys, they like to throw it in. They like to kind of call it in the ring.
Right.
But with me, it was always just definitely just better safe than sorry, I guess, right? Like just going into the match knowing exactly what's gonna happen, what you're gonna do, and most of the I guess planning it, doing it by ear, playing it by ear, it was like in the heat. So if I'm like, obviously if I'm in the heat, that's when for the most part they'll call the stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's like, call it in the ring. Type of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, again, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure you've developed some of these, but what would you say is your biggest wrestling-related pet peeve?
I've actually never, I've never been on this side of the pet peeve, but I've seen others do it, and I don't know why it just bothers me, but it's just calling the spots a little bit too loudly.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like everyone can literally hear you saying, duck this, duck that. Okay. Suplex coming. Like it's, that always has kind of bothered me a little bit.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
It's a good question.
And this question I have asked in every one of these, and it's been almost a 50-50 split, and everybody has their own unique reasons for saying one or the other. So I love this question.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question because it's hard to answer.
It is, yeah.
But
makes
for me,
you think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For me personally, I think I would go with being great on the mic. Just because that part of wrestling is when you bring out your personality.
Right.
And I feel like you can't really talk fans into the building with wrestling. The only way to talk to fans into the building is by communicating on the mic and like knowing how to, just knowing how to like basically talk them into the building. That's the only way you can really like make a match special, in my opinion.
Right.
Right.
And
Knowing.
and from a fan's perspective, I've always felt like, if you're pretty good on the mic, you could ultimately end up with more career longevity because if you get injured to the point that something happens and you can't continue in ring, you could potentially continue as a manager figure, as a commentator. If you've got the gift of gab, it can open some related doors to keep you in the business, even if you can't wrestle. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's definitely more life to that for sure. Yeah.
So, do you have an all-time favorite match as a fan? Is there a match that just speaks to you that you find yourself kind of going back to and reviewing, over and again?
Not for like me personally, like not my match, just as a whole.
No, not your matches, but
No.
just any matches that are just out there that you've seen that you just really are just near and dear to your heart.
I would say John Cena, CM Punk, Money in the Bank, 2011, for sure.
Good choice.
I think it mainly had to do with just the story going into that match and just not knowing if it was if they actually had real heat.
Right.
You know what I mean? The lines were just so blurred, and nobody really knew what was going on. People really thought Punk was leaving for sure. It just felt like such a high stake, just a high stakes type of match, right? And it also helped that the match itself was just absolutely just 5 stars, like just amazing, like top to bottom, you know. Yeah.
I mean, two guys at the peak of their powers right then, you know. I mean, yeah, you really couldn't ask for much better. And like you said, you know, when the lines get blurred like that, that's really where a lot of the magic in wrestling happens. Where there's that nugget of doubt, you know, do these guys really have heat? I mean, it's
exactly. Just the way it was like presented, like going into the match, you really thought something was going down, like something real was happening. So yeah, man, it was my heart skipped a beat a few times watching that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. That's the one that jumps at me for sure. 100%.
So piggybacking onto that question, do you have an all-time favorite promo as a fan? Is there a promo that just really spoke to you?
Huh. Honestly, I would have I don't know how many times you get this answer, but probably the pipe bomb, man.
Nothing wrong with that.
I gotta go with that because that was the one that that kind of like planted the seed for that match.
Yep.
You know?
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
And you know, and just sitting there watching that live, and being like, you know, hearing him get away with saying a lot of the stuff that he was saying about management at the time, and you know, it's like, and you're sitting there waiting for them to cut his mic.
Yeah.
You know? But
oh my god. Yeah. I remember sitting there. I think I was like, I don't remember how old I was. I would have been like definitely my early teens, but I remember sitting there and watching it and thinking to myself, like, because at the time I knew like everything was, I guess, predetermined, right? But I think that was the first time watching it, thinking to myself, that has to be real, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean, like,
well, you know, I think it was one of those. I think they used the term a worked shoot, where there's you know, it's agreed upon in advance, but he was saying a lot of real stuff in that promo too, you know. So
they were even saying, before he went out there, they were saying go out there and say whatever's on your mind, you know. And I think that's what made it more. That's what kind of amplified the promo, right? That's what made it more real. And
yeah, he took them up on it.
He definitely did, and he definitely worked all of us for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is purely an opinion question, and this is one of these questions that can literally change almost week to week. But at this very moment, in your opinion, who are the best male and best female wrestlers in the world? Who's the best man and who's the best woman at this moment?
At this moment. For male, I'm not gonna lie, as much as it pains me to say it, and I say that because he retired my childhood hero, I gotta go with Gunther. Gunther. As you say what you want about him for what he did, obviously. Well, obviously it's, you know, it's all.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't deny that he just like knows how to work the crowd. He knows how to work in the ring.
He does.
he has a very old school style, which is nowadays it's kind of obviously lost in the shuffle. He's bringing that style back again, which I think to me personally is just amazing. Just really like I like that. I'm a really big fan of that. He's very retro, which he's the one that jumps at me for sure, and I think a lot of people would agree too. Like he's up there for sure.
Yeah,
yeah, as the best, as the male in my opinion, and as a female, I go with Io Sky.
Can't argue that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's not only a very good, obviously technical wrestler. Like she could probably do all the styles that you throw out there, but she's also just overall like for like the language barrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's just very entertaining overall. Like
she is.
Yeah.
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 I will completely agree with you about Gunther. Having grown up in the territory days and saw that style of, back then it was much more of a mat-based sport. Gunther definitely wrestles in a very old school style, but having grown up on that stuff, I love it. I mean, my wife is a relatively new wrestling fan, and she doesn't care much for Gunther and his style, but I mean, that's fine, if you're not used to the style, it can be a little off-putting.
Oh yeah.
But as far as the women go, there is a match that I know is going to happen eventually, and I am so excited down the road to see Rhea Ripley and Jordynne Grace hook up and work a match together. I think those two could tear the house down.
I could definitely see that.
Two powerful women like that.
Oh,
yeah. I think that would just be fire.
That's actually a match I've never thought about, like in my head, but until you just brought it up. So I really hope that, like, are there talks of that happening, or is that just
there hasn't been a lot of talk of it, and I think right now they're on opposite brands, but eventually, I mean, if they put that together, that's money. I mean, so
I think Jordynne Grace or Jordynne Grace and Bianca Belair would be fire too, I think.
Well, I know I believe tonight Jordynne Grace has Jade Cargill, which that'll be interesting to see the outcome on that.
That'd be nice. That'd be a good watch too. Actually, I might have to tune in for that one for sure. Yeah.
So, and this can be present day or past. Who would be a dream opponent for you? Who would you love to have the opportunity to share a ring with?
Am I allowed to say two?
You can say as many as you want.
Oh man, it would have to be like a lot of the guys I grew up watching it would have to be like, I think Undertaker would be one. John Cena for sure, because he's the one that got me into watching from when I was a kid. When I was 8 years old, he was my childhood hero. And Randy Orton, definitely I gotta throw him in there too.
Oh yeah.
For what he did to me last year, got an RKO by him at Elimination Chamber 2025. This is actually coming up on 1 year since it happened. Because I did some extra work for WWE at the time, and that was
So you ate an RKO.
Yeah, I ate an RKO, which was
Nice.
just. I'm still recovering from that 1 year later. So
Nice.
we got a little story there, you know. But nah, but yeah, definitely those are the three that jump at me.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm.
So looking over at the Instagram chat, we've got a few people filtering in. We've got Joshua Kallick, who is actually a former lacrosse teammate of my son's. We've got Dickie555, Bring On the Bully, and Bring On the Bully says we're going to get Leon to main event at a stadium show in California for Bring On the Bully.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We had a little chat about that the other day. Yeah, So I'm hoping that happens. You know, that would be nice. You know, especially at a stadium show too, like that.
Oh, no doubt.
Opportunity. So
no doubt.
Yeah,
no
man.
doubt.
That's awesome though.
So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
So as this may sound very like this move that I'm about to say might be pretty like basic to some people, but to me, I always have this this feeling of satisfaction after hitting it. It's a belly to back suplex.
Oh yeah,
that's definitely my favorite move to hit. Just because I just feel like a man. You know what I mean? After hitting it, I feel great. As far as taking a move, anything that would revolve around me landing head first. So like maybe like a pile driver. I'm open to taking those moves, but I'm always skeptical when it's brought up. Like, do you want to take a pile driver? I'm usually kind of like, I'm a little hesitant before answering that, but
nothing wrong with that. Yeah. You know, anytime somebody wants to drop you on your head, that's
for sure. Any other move is fine, but just anything that's kind of like, you know what I mean? It just, the thought of that is, even though I trust the person giving it, it's still always that lingering thought in the back of my head. Where it's just like,
yeah, I mean, you know, anything like that, pile drivers, destroyers, whatever, you know, it's just, there's definitely an element of risk.
Definitely. And I think also like a top rope move, anything that would involve doing like flips, like a 450 or something like that. I don't know if that's something that's a territory I wouldn't want to cross for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So basically, you like to take people to Suplex City.
That's basically what I'm implying. Yeah, 100%.
So you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies to one degree or another. So I'll ask, what hurts right now?
What hurts right now? Two things. My hamstring. I actually pulled it at the tryout this like a month ago, and it's still kind of bothering me a little bit. It's a lot better as compared to a month ago, but it's still some lingering pain there. And also the back of my neck hurts a lot right now. But it's not wrestling related. I think it has to do with the way I slept last night or something. But
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
you know, I'll tell you this much. You know, you've got a ways to go until you get there. But when you get into your 50s, the 50s are a strange time, man. Your body starts doing weird stuff. I've thrown my back out sneezing. I mean, you've got a lot to look forward to.
Oh yeah. The littlest things you do is just like,
oh yeah,
something happens to your body.
Yeah. It's been a weird time, man. So so piggybacking onto that, what is the worst bump you have taken?
There's not a particular bump that I can think of that's I would classify as bad or worse, but uh, I did have a match a few years ago where it was a spot in the match. We were brawling outside. The guy I went to whip the guy into the steel steps, and he reversed the whip, and I ended up eating the steel steps. But what ended up happening was I ducked a little too low,
Mm-hmm.
and so the side of the steps, it was like metal and stuff.
Oh
It
yeah.
gripped the side of my eyebrow, and it caused like a lot of gushing, like just blood just was like just. Don't mean to gross you out or anything, but
Oh no, no.
that's
I was a paramedic for years. Not much grosses me out.
but yeah, that was I remember like, and that was like within the first 2 minutes of the match, and so I think we were scheduled for 12 minutes, but you can imagine after that I was seeing red and like I couldn't even remember what was the next spot or anything like that. It was ugly. It was an ugly time for sure, but yeah, that's the one that stands out
Gotcha.
for sure.
So, what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling, specifically indie wrestling?
I think it's playing a very big role because it's without social media, I feel like it would be a lot harder to bring in the fans
Mm-hmm.
to the shows, um, because of the like the lack of. I just feel like with social media, it's a lot easier to put out the information of the show that's coming up, even those that aren't in the city. You know what I mean? Like it's reaching a broader audience now with social media. Um, I think it's helping. It's definitely a big tool for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, knowing everything that you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I would say to just be yourself. Um, I would say to not let anyone's words dictate your future, dictate how you do things in life, and specifically in the business. Just kind of do things on your own accord. Be yourself. Don't be ashamed of showing just that side of yourself, basically. Um,
Gotcha.
just yeah, all the way through. Just yeah.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
So, do you have any pre show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
I definitely do meditation just to kind of calm the mind, before going out there and having all that adrenaline, right? Uh,
Right.
for sure, meditation. I do some prayer, words of affirmations as well. I say things to really psych myself up, just get myself going. Um, Other than that, just the basics. I do obviously push-ups. I use bands. I'll do some curls with the bands, and some like shoulder flies and stuff like that. Just get a little pump going. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So just kind of a quick rundown. What all do you carry in your gear bag, and do you carry anything unique or unusual in your gear?
Yeah, so other than gear, the only thing I can really think of that's, I guess, unusual. I don't know how unusual this is, but I have this notepad.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this journal that I have. I usually write down every match that I've had on that journal.
Mm-hmm.
Usually after a match, I'll kind of go somewhere in the corner. I'll just kind of write down that match that I just had, like almost immediately. So I guess that's the one thing that I can think of that's, because most people, well, nowadays, because we live in a digital world, a lot of people would just kind of write it on their phones, right? I feel like for me, I have a pen, I have a journal, and I just kind of write down like just a log of who I've wrestled in the past, and that's what I'll do. I'll just the one thing.
Gotcha. So you're kind of being an analog guy in the digital world.
Pretty much, yeah.
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 So, over the time that you've been wrestling, do you have a favorite venue that you have performed in? Is there a place that you have wrestled that is near and dear to your heart?
I would say it would definitely it's I would say I have like two. I have one.
Okay.
Obviously it's a little biased, but it's in my hometown of Abbotsford, BC, the Abbotsford Arts Center. That's for sure. I would say that's number one, near and dear to my heart, and one of my favorite venues I've wrestled in. That's where I won my first my first title under the promotion I work for. And the second one is probably the Victoria Pavilion in Calgary. There's a lot of history there, obviously, with Stu Hart and Bret Hart and the whole wrestling lineage there. For sure, those are the two that jump out to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. So my previous guest was a wrestler based out of Central Florida by the name of Jake Powers. And, one of the things that he does, aside from wrestling, he is also a power lifter. And so the question that he posed, and he posed this question before finding out that you were the next guest and taking a look at you. But the question that he posed is, are you taking creatine as a supplement? And then he saw you and he goes, yeah, you're taking creatine.
Well, I think that pretty much answers itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do take creatine. I take the monohydrate version, creatine monohydrate, 5 milligrams every day. I'll usually mix that in with weight gainer shake. And I would say I've been on creatine. I've been taking that, I want to say even almost 10 years at this point. I've been on it for a while. Yeah, for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow around noon, we're, in order for the continuity to work, I actually had to pre-record episode 200 because I was able actually to get the guy who was my guest on episode 1 to come back for episode 200. Okay. And he is actually a wrestler and promoter here in the state of Georgia, a guy by the name of Cowboy James Hunter. And so the question that he posed, since the other question was basically pretty obvious, the question that he posed is, how many times a week do you train?
How many times a week do I train? I train anywhere between 5 to 6 days a week. I'd say that's a pretty good middle ground for me.
Oh, for sure. Sure.
For the most part.
So, knowing that this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to ask to the next guest?
Putting me on the spot here.
Well, if you can't think of anything at the
Yeah.
moment, you can always just DM me
Yeah.
and let me know. So I mean, don't feel
I
like you have to come up with something right now.
I have one. I have a question.
Okay.
I would say my question is, this is something I'm always curious about with most pro wrestlers for some
Okay.
reason. What do you think about prior to going through that curtain? What's your mindset like? Right as you're about to, your music's playing, obviously, right as you're about to go out there in front of the fans. What do you think about? What's your mindset going into it?
I like that. And we sort of touched a little bit on that with one of the previous questions, but how would you answer that? I mean, what is generally your mindset right before you're going out?
I usually like to think about just my overall potential performance, and I'll usually think I'm gonna give it my all. Like, it's basic, but I'm literally gonna go out there and I'm just gonna give it my all. That's what I
Gotcha.
think. Yeah,
Gotcha. I like that. I like
100%.
that.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned that you've taken some acting classes and such. Do you have any acting opportunities on the horizon? Are we going to be seeing you in anything coming up?
Um, at the moment, I'm just kind of doing not anything major, but I do have some, like, I guess I'm gonna be doing more background work for right now. But
Okay.
I was asked to be a part of a pro wrestling, like, commercial. I'm not sure when that's gonna happen, but I was told that it's a big role, and that's something I might do in the future. So stay tuned for that.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. So we're pretty much at the end of, right at the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to before we wrap things up?
Yes. So I have a show tomorrow with All Star Wrestling. I will be wrestling in my hometown of Abbotsford, British Columbia, at the Abbotsford Arts Center. I have another show.
Your favorite venue?
Yes, my favorite venue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. March 6th, I have a show with Canadian Apex Wrestling, based in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I may potentially be returning to the Victoria Pavilion in April, under Dungeon Wrestling.
Nice.
But that hasn't been confirmed yet. But that's as far as I have right now.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, as far as what we've got coming up on the Throwdown, like I said, tomorrow, Valentine's Day, February 14th, exclusively on YouTube and Rumble, we're going to be dropping episode 200, which features the triumphant return of the very first guest on the Throwdown, a good friend of mine, Cowboy James Hunter from here in the state of Georgia. And then on Sunday, the 15th, this Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern, which is 5 p.m. over in the UK, we've got episode 201. And our guest is a UK-based wrestling-themed entertainment conglomerate called WrestleMosh UK. And what they do is they bring a wrestling-themed experience to nightclubs and other types of gatherings in the UK. So they're doing something kind of unique, and I'm definitely interested to talk to them, find out how the concept came about, and kind of find out a little more about what they're doing. It just sounds really intriguing. And then this coming Wednesday, the 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 202, and our guest is a Florida-based wrestler by the name of Baracco. He is based and trains at the House of Champions in Orlando, Florida, and he was actually the inaugural House of Champions champion when they kind of started their own little promotion out of the school.
Awesome.
So I've definitely got to thank you for your time. This has been an absolutely amazing conversation.
Yeah.
And before we wrap this up, do you have any final words for the audience?
I'm just gonna say thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this this conversation and just this overall amazing podcast. And it was a real pleasure being on this show. And I was looking forward to it all week. We finally got it done, and I'm excited to watch it back and to promote it. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such on the web, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, definitely do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And, definitely be sure to catch episode 200 when it drops tomorrow. I'll be dropping it roughly around noon tomorrow. And then, I'll be back live on Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. in the UK with WrestleMosh UK. And until then, be good to each other, love each other, and let's keep throwing down.